you're saying that we're gonna have $1 billion less in income tax revenue, yet the city budget continues to increase. So this year's budget was $4 billion increase over the previous year, and now you're proposing an additional $3 billion
yeah,
increase.
thank you, $3 billion increase.
In addition to the $4 billion from last year. So altogether, the city budget has gone up roughly 30% since you've taken office, about $23 billion in additional costs. So if we are anticipating all these problems with less revenue coming into the city,
right,
why do you continue to increase the budget dramatically? And you know, we know we have to fund our schools, we know we need public safety, we know we need to invest in infrastructure. I'm talking about all the other stuff that we're spending money on. Case in point, what my colleague from the Senate just pointed out, the free health care program, which half of it is going to individuals who are citizens of other countries. Yes, they reside in New York, but they're here legally, and we're going to give them free health care. But in addition to that, you know, the half-price Metro cards, talking about the chief democracy officer, the nightlife office, you know, your 314 special assistants, which I always like to talk about. All these costs add up, and it's putting a tremendous amount of burden on the constituents that I represent that are homeowners. The property taxes are out of control. They're out of control. 44% increase in the property tax levy in just 5 years. And you always come here and you say, well, we haven't increased the property tax rate, and that is accurate. I say, I agree with you on that. But what you do, and what the city council does, is increase the property tax levy, which is the amount of money you're seeking in total from property tax payers. And you've done that by 44%. 5%, 6%, 7%, or 8% every year since you've been in office, while every other municipality in the state has a 2% cap on their levy. And I've asked you before, can we freeze the levy? You said no. Can we at least cap the levy? Because it's having an enormous impact on the people that I represent and so many others that are in the outer boroughs that are, you know, in the more poor communities, the working class, the middle class, those homeowners who are trying to achieve the American dream, they can't keep up with this rapid increase every single year. So once again, I'm going to ask you, will you please consider capping the levy while we have the Property Tax Commission look at the disparity that allows for someone in my district that has a property value that's half of what your property is, pay 3 times as much in property taxes. That is unfair, and I appreciate the commission looking at this, but we got to do something to cap the levy in the meantime.
Assemblymember, we disagree on the specific solution, but like you, I listen to my many constituents who are homeowners, and the Commission is not just looking at this issue. The Commission is going to come forward with solutions, and we're going to bring them here. We're going to bring them to the City Council. We need a more equitable system. But I do want to note that looking at, I don't have specific details for any one district, but I would surmise that when you look at the things we've invested in, and you look at your own district, one of the biggest things we've invested in is fairness to our workforce. You know, when I came into office, municipal workers had not seen an increase in their pay for quite a while. They were all not under contract. We have kept them under contract. We've gone through another round of putting them under contract. That's, when you look at the increase, a very substantial amount of the increase in the budget comes from giving municipal workers decent contracts. I know a lot of them live in your district, and I think they would all agree that's a high priority. Another big piece of this is education services. Special education costs have gone up a lot because they were artificially kept low in the previous administration because it was very hard for special ed parents to get the services they need. So just to answer your question real quick, the things that we're investing in, I think, are critical to the future of New York City, and I think they're having a very big impact in outer borough districts like your own. And I don't think, if you said to everyday New Yorkers, would you like us to take back the pre-K or the 3K or the special education support? I know people would say to me, well, wait, no, would you like us to take back the repaving? No, they'd say we need those things. They're important for our quality of life. They're important for our future. I think the investments have worked, but we do need more equity in property tax, and we intend to achieve it.
Well,
I just
thank
want to
you.
add, Mayor.
Well, no, hold on, excuse me, because I only have 30 seconds left,
Yeah.
and I just want to get this, and then you have all the time in the world to answer. Okay, so we have a disagreement, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we could clearly not be spending money on in the city of New York, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that another time. I just want to go to one more thing, because 2 years ago at this very hearing, we talked about the issue of sanctuary cities, and at the time I said that, you know, I take exception to the fact that we're protecting individuals, certain crimes that are not on your list: grand larceny, sex abuse, patronizing a child for prostitution, welfare fraud, identity theft, some other crimes.
So we're
You said
gonna-
you were going to have your attorneys look into that. Have you done so? And do
Yes.
you have any comment on what has occurred in Queens with the MS-13 gang member who's here illegally, and there were 2 individuals, one is now murdered? Do you have any comment on that? And
Yeah.
Yes,
thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
I would say the NYPD is doing extraordinary work to fight gangs, and the NYPD has been very clear about a number of gangs that it's dealing with. MS-13 is something we look at and take seriously. There are other gangs that are much more established here that are the ones we have to particularly put our focus on. I have total faith in the NYPD to address the gang issue, to continue to make the city safer. On the question of the way the NYPD and every other agency in New York City respects folks who live here and happen to be undocumented, Commissioner O'Neill feels adamantly that we are protecting public safety by not asking people documentation status. When the
question was
federal
on the
government,
lawyers. The
I'm
lawyers. Have the
answering the
lawyers
question,
looked
but
into
I'm
it?
Assemblywoman,
prefacing.
let the mayor
The,
answer. We have to move on.
The federal government attempted to hold back security funding over this issue, and a federal court found that was inappropriate. So our security funding continues, our policies that keep New Yorkers safe continue, and our police commissioner and his predecessors believe these are the right policies. On the question of the legislation of the City Council, as you know, 170 specific crimes by the vote of the City Council, and I signed the bill, indicate when there's a conviction in those cases that we do cooperate fully with ICE. We have had the law department review other areas of concern. We are having that conversation with the City Council right now to determine the course of action.
Thank you.